Hello, welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast post-match reaction for Villa's 1-1 draw away at Bournemouth. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson, joined by Matt Lynch for the 20-minute podcast. I'm calling this, Matt. I've got other responsibilities, I apologise. So we're going to try and stick to 20 minutes if possible. How are you feeling after watching that one?
It's easy to feel glum and down after it, I think it's fair to say, but I think the overall performance was poor, and it is easy to feel glum and down about it, definitely, but there's so many more reasons to look up than to look down in terms of that performance, obviously, but just generally speaking, it's Bournemouth a good side is where I'm getting to with this. They're a good outfit, they're a good operator, and Daniel Raiola is a fantastic manager as well. So, you know what? I'll take the point. I thought we were dreadful in the second half, so absolutely run away with that point. I know in isolation that point looks great to me. To be honest, I mean, the other weeks haven't been great recently, but a point away at Bournemouth in isolation is a pretty good point, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think that last bit, a point away at Bournemouth, is fine. I liked a couple of games in groups, as I've said before. If you can win at home and pick up points away, that's absolutely fine. A point away is not great when you've lost 2 home games. That's stating the bleeding obvious straight off the bat here. A point from Brentford and Bournemouth in a month where we looked at the 5 games, thought, you know what, Villa could win all 5 here. We haven't won a single one yet. So I appreciate it doesn't look great at the moment. Brighton and Leeds, if they weren't already, which I think they were, they're pretty much must win now. I think there's how many games left? Is it 15, 14, 13 now, is it?
I literally looked at the table before we came on.
What are we on? Let's just work this out very quickly. It's basic football maths. Played 25, 13 left.
Yeah.
You've got to win 6 or 7, I think, is what we've been saying. So, you know, it was 7 wins from 15 games. It's now 7 wins from 13. The task becomes harder the more games we waste. Like, it's, again, very obvious point here. The thing for me was to try and get through the period where you can get your injured players back. At the moment, we're not really doing that. I would like another 3 points or so to feel a little bit more comfortable about my hopes for Villa to be in the Champions League next season. But if you were to beat Brighton and Leeds back to back, and Man United were to lose a game, for example, the points gap reopens again. So this is not we were terrible in that game and we'll be lucky to finish 7th. I've said many times before, if you want to come to this podcast to hear me say we're this, we're that, we're terrible, you're not going to get that until it's mathematically impossible for us to fall out of the top 5. If on the final day we have to win to get into there, I'll still believe. I've stood by that all the way through. Whether that's naive or stupid or whatever, that's for you to work out. Me saying that I think we're getting to the Champions League, I saw before we started, was like, oh, you've cursed us. Nothing to do with me. I'm not playing the game. Right? I'm wearing the kit, but I ain't kicking the ball around. It's nothing to do with me. I thought it was a weird game, to be honest. I actually thought we were pretty good in the first half and had moments of, oh, we're actually doing well here against what is a difficult place. Bournemouth are a good side. I stand by that. But the second half was pretty terrible. And we've not really offered anything. I thought the subs were odd as well. I think in recent weeks, or when Villa were winning, let's say, we used our subs really well. And the subs are winning us games. So by definition, they're doing well. Coming back from losing positions and whatnot. Subs just felt wrong, the wrong time and the wrong options as well, I thought. We've seen it a couple of times now, bringing Maatsen on for a midfielder and Maatsen playing in front of Digne. And then, 5 or 10 minutes later, a midfielder comes on for Digne and Maatsen goes back. And I don't know, it just feels a little bit random to me. Bailey offered nothing after looking bright against Newcastle in his cameo. Tammy, yes. 5 minutes, what is he going to do with that? I was screaming for him to come on after an hour. So I think there was an opportunity to win that game. And if we did, the narrative is obviously completely different. We've got away with, we haven't played particularly well there, but we've managed to win. Not fair play, we've dug it out. And I think if Luca Digne defends that moment better, I think we possibly do win. So I can't be like, that was horrible and we didn't. I don't think we deserved to win, but we could have won, if that makes sense. So I'll take a point in that sense. But you have to go and beat Brighton Wednesday now. That's crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the key thing, you can go back to the subs first of all. Emery's got these subs right a lot of this season, but they were bizarre. I mean, I sort of get the Maatsen one, to be honest, because Ryan was running wild at that moment in time, and we were looking over and on that side. I think, to be fair, Bournemouth had a perfect game plan, executed it pretty well. But they compacted the midfield really well in the sort of first part of the second half, if you like, which really caused us problems down the middle. Rodgers didn't have half the much as the ball as he'd have liked, I think.
Too many changes in the different positions as
it,
well. He's good in that one area. I thought Sancho was really effective on the right, but then you make changes and he's on the left. It all just feels like it's falling apart towards him.
And you look at it and you go, Bailey came on, didn't do anything, and it makes you question. You see Ryan, he's coming from the Brazilian league. He's gone straight into that Bournemouth team. I recognise we're in a different position in the league, but Alisson, so far, we've not seen him kick a ball yet. And I know it's all this. Well, it's like the odd Lou Barry debate, isn't it? To a degree, in terms of we should have seen him on our bench, sort of thing. But it's not that. I think it's more to the point is that it's frustrating because you see Ryan today and he scored and played very well. We'll talk about. I'm sure Dean's defending in a minute, but you see that, and then you've got Alisson who's yet to even get on the bench for us, and you sort of question what that is. And I know the expectations and demands of Emery are so high, but equally, what did Bailey do today? To be honest, that was Bailey that, to be honest, we shipped off the exact reason we saw today, to be honest. And you look at those changes. I mean, I am calling him out because he's been dreadful today with Watkins. I don't understand how he stayed on the pitch as long as he did. And you look at it and the chances that he's had, and he doesn't gamble on anything. He looks scared to go in for something that's a 50-50, to be honest. He looks genuinely like he's not going to go in for anything that's a 50-50 where he might have a chance of the ball coming back at him. In the first half, there was that chance which the ball got whipped in by Sancho, I think.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in the box. Watkins was about 10 yards off the pace.
And we saw in the
middle of the box for that.
And we saw in the Brentford game, we had Tammy in those positions, but not putting the ball in like that. Today, we put the ball into some dangerous areas, and Watkins just isn't there. I don't know why that is. People will throw like he's not a goal scorer, but he is because he scored 80 Premier League goals or whatever. But he isn't. I agree to an extent that he doesn't have that natural kind of maybe poacher's instinct. That a ball whipped across the box, and you kind of think, where is he? Like,
the case in point is, to be fair to Martinez, I mean, I texted you the time when he mainly dropped that howler nearly in the first half, but where I'm going with that is actually Martinez had a great game. Before you think I'm calling him out, it was more the point is that Martinez parried that. If Evan Nilsson was worth his salt, similar to Watkins, he'd have gambled on that. And to be fair, he didn't. And in the end, Martinez had an easy save because I don't think Evan Nilsson, to be fair, probably expected it to come back. But that's sort of the position you want your striker to be in, to be gambling on the scenario that keeper's parrying something back at you. And to be honest, I don't see that for the type of football we're playing at the moment. I don't see that with Watkins.
We'll talk about the goals in a second. Just a non-goal moment. The penalty shout on Buendia, which, again, I think if that is given, we're potentially talking about a different game. Was it a penalty or not, in your opinion? Obviously, it's not been given, so it feels a little bit futile to whine about it too much.
What I don't understand is any of the position in the pitch, and that's a foul.
That's what I was going to say.
But Jimenez has come steaming into the back of Buendia, absolutely out of nowhere, and I don't think he's even made any effort to try and play the ball. To be honest, he's just absolutely gone right into the back of him. And I know the commentator, for some bizarre reason, suggested that Buendia had gone over easy. How is he going over easy when he's not?
He's probably not expecting a push in the back either.
He's probably not going to expect a push in the back from a player that's come steaming at him from 30, 40 yards away. For me, it's a foul for definite. Any of the position in the pitch, there's no doubting that's a foul. So the fact it's not even been looked at by VAR is odd to me, to be honest. But it did seem like in a couple of occasions, to be fair, today Taylor was quite whistle happy and quite happy to draw up quite early in terms of fouls. But for me, it's a foul. But equally, if we're relying on a penalty like that to win a game, we'd
have took it.
You'd have taken it absolutely.
Don't worry about it. We'd have missed it anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Buendia tried to sell it too hard, says Mike, which I think hurt us. 0 attempt to play the ball from the Bournemouth player. Yeah, I part of me feels like anywhere on the pitch is a foul. But I'm also not that surprised it wasn't a penalty. And I know that sounds stupid, but we've seen things like that not be given. And I think Buendia does go down easy-ish, but like you say, he's probably not expecting to get steamrolled through from that position. So if it was given, I'd absolutely have taken it. But because it's not been, and they've, it obviously will have been looked at to some degree, I guess. I don't look at it as like that's an outrageous decision not to get it. But I do agree that anywhere else on the pitch it's a foul. So by definition, then it should be.
It's one of them on Monday morning. You'd be watching Sky Sports and Dermot Gallagher would be there, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I think that was a penalty."
No, I think the other way around. They'll just stick up for saying it wasn't.
Yeah,
I don't know. It wasn't given, so let's move on. The goals. Our goal, excellent, Really, really nice goal. Sancho's played well today. I thought probably one of our, if not the most dangerous player with Rodgers, I suppose. Looked really bright on the right hand side. Good going both ways, actually. Good defensive work and a real kind of proper shift from him. But some good moments going forward as well. Some good interplay with players around him. Does really well to combine for the goal for Rodgers, and obviously it's a brilliant finish. And not to be, that's not a surprise from Rodgers to score a goal like that, but a really well worked, nicely taken finish.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And I think with Sancho, we're seeing the best of him the last few weeks. I think he's going to probably force us into a quandary in the summer because he'll be out of contract. So
yeah, potentially.
I think that it's so easy to say our players are going to play for their contract sort of thing at this time of year when they are out of contract. But I don't believe in that necessarily. And I don't certainly believe that's the case with Sancho. I just think that he's had the shackles off and I think he's in an environment where he can thrive.
He's looked better, hasn't he? The last,
he's looked a lot better.
Not in a row, but the last kind of, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, he's had a few good games throughout that period.
Yeah, and as you say, his tracking back has been really good and he's really put a shift in. I think his link at play with Rodgers has been excellent. I think that he's very unfortunate that he got sort of drifted out onto the left-hand side in the second half, which sort of killed his game a bit because Ryan was, let's face it, running rings around Digne. I'm sure we'll come on to their goal. So he had a much harder task in the second half and was expected to do a lot more tracking back than he was going forwards. And so that was the nature of the game as well. But equally as well, it is frustrating to see he's the first name that's hauled off week after week at the moment.
Yeah. Let's talk about their goal then. The means by which I was watching the game, they were absolutely raving about it being like this brilliant goal. And I thought, was it? Was it that good? I don't know. He's taken it well and he's a young lad and he's new to the league and all that. And if that kind of adds to why it's a good goal, fine, I'll take it. But Dean just lets him run past, first of all. And I don't want to be like, oh, it's only a toe poke, because that's not to necessarily say that could be a bad goal. It's just like a TK score, arguably a toe poke, and it'd be very, very good. So I don't want to discredit it too much, but they were like, "Wow, what a brilliant goal! Like, that's amazing!" And I was like, Dean's just basically just gone, "Go on, mate, go on through." Like he must have thought there was somebody behind him covering it, but don't even take that risk. Like it's still your responsibility to try and stop that. I thought Dean was so, lazy or whatever word you want to go for in that moment. It's on you, mate. Go and stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's that. And can we question Martinez's positioning? To be fair, probably not, on the basis that he probably didn't expect Digne to stand there and let him
Mings
go past
as well
it.
should throw his body at it.
Yeah, it's a poor goal to concede as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there was any great shakes in terms of the goal. I thought, yeah, fair enough. He scored a nice goal, but we let him do that. We let him have the keys to the defence, basically, and say, thank you very much. Off you go. Crack on. Have a go at goal. See what happens.
That's mad, don't it?
It is bizarre. I think equally when coming at that, actually, did we put on our bodies on the line enough today? Not by the amount of saves that Martinez had to dig a set of holes with. To be honest, I don't think we put our bodies on the line half as much as perhaps we should have done. And I'd argue at the opposite end of the pitch as well. We didn't throw ourselves into things half as much. It's almost like they're all scared of getting injured at this point because we've lost so many players at the moment with injury.
Maybe there's a bit of that, the psychology of it, of, we're down to the bare bones here. If I get injured as well, then that's going to really pile on the misery. But I don't know, in the moment you only think, everyone says to us, right, when we're talking about plotting our route towards the Champions League or how many points we get here, it's like, you take one game at a time. Every player should be doing their utmost to win this one individual game. But I suppose, yeah, you're right. If somebody was to get injured, you'd regret it. Martinez being man of the match or contender of man of the match for us kind of tells the story. A couple of really good saves in there, some that you absolutely expect him to make. I'm still seeing him kind of parry things back into danger more often than I'd like, more often than he used to, like a couple of seasons ago. Some of them are like straight at him and they go back into danger, and that worries me a little bit because on another day, the opposition do go and score more and you lose the game because of things like that. But overall, yeah, made some great saves and deservedly, he keeps us in the game ultimately. Rodgers going the other way, I'd probably say is another candidate for one of our man of the matches just because he scored the goal and played well. And probably Sancho would be 3 I was picking, potentially. Just not, I was about to say not good enough, which it isn't. But I do think just that one individual game, a point away at Bournemouth is fine and a decent result. But because we lost to Brentford, that ruins it for me. And that sounds stupid because we keep, like I say, everyone keeps saying to me, take one game at a time. Well, today, a point away at Bournemouth, I think is a decent result. But it feels worse because we've not, we picked up 7 points in the previous, was it 6 games before this one, was it? Something like that. 4 games, I can't quite remember. But coupled all that together, it doesn't feel great. But in isolation, I think it's okay. And if we are to beat Brighton, we're on track of where I'd expect us to be from points, because you kind of keep rolling on that 2-game or 3-game period. A point away, you win at home, and you beat Leeds. 7 points in a week is sound. I'm absolutely buzzing with that. I'd snap your hand off for 2 home wins in a row now. I think if I'm looking ahead to the next few, and I just said take it one game at a time, I'm not going to. Alex in the comments earlier says, we've got Leeds, Wolves, West Ham, Forest, Sunderland and Burnley all to play. I mean, 6 games there that on paper Villa are better than. Plenty of winnable games, not in need to win territory just yet, but getting closer to that. And I completely agree. Like, we will probably say Brighton feels like a must win, but Villa could lose the game against Brighton and still qualify for the Champions League. So it isn't must win in that sense, but it is getting towards that. More man in the comments says, Dan, ready to admit we have serious issues. A point is great here today, as we were totally dominated when the game was up for grabs. I still don't think it's serious issues. I think we're dealing with the injuries that we know we're dealing with. If we can stay within the top 5 when we start getting players back, and we can win 4 or 5 of those fixtures I just read out there against easier teams, yeah, we'll be fine still. It's always going to feel like, that game, that wasn't good enough. So kind of bring that out onto a bigger picture scale of, we're going to be doomed then. Ask me again after Leeds, or after Wolves maybe, or extend it to the next 5. Brighton, Leeds, Wolves, Man United, Chelsea. I think if you can win the games that you'd expect to, those first 3, and not lose the 2 to Man United and Chelsea, so they don't gain any ground on you, that's 5 games gone then out of 13, which feels like, okay, we've kind of got through that period. You'd then be looking at a McGinn or a Tielemans coming back pretty soon after that as well, and you've navigated that period relatively well. However, there are no easy games, right? I've read out 6 or 7 opponents there that I think we should beat, but I thought we'd beat Brentford and I thought we'd beat Everton. So I'm not like, there's definitely 7 wins there on the board. Like, just tick them off straight away. Obviously not. We still have to go and do the job. But I'll say what I've said before. I back us to go and do the job. But we absolutely have to be better than we were in that second half. Like, you can't. Like, I'm not stupid.
Yeah, I think the other bit that wraps into this is, obviously there's no easy games, blah, 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 all that cliche stuff, but equally as well, we have to remember we've been spoiled this season. Our performances away from home and at home have been spectacular for the most part since that early season sort of wobble. And you can't expect this group of players that, let's face it, are on their bare bones at the moment to be fighting on all fronts possible that we are at this moment in time, without a few blips in the road. And we've had a few blips the last few weeks, but I think realistically, as you say, we beat Brighton, we got the FA Cup, and we do a job on Newcastle. I mean, easier said than done. And then suddenly everything looks a bit rosy again. I think it's a big overreaction to think of anything other than, at the moment, the players just look a bit depleted and a bit toothless. And I think there's a few factors there. And for me, I think the big one today actually is Watkins. I thought we were playing with 10 men for the most part with him on the pitch.
I think
there's factors like that there's factors like that which I don't really sort of struggle to see around actually as being major problems at the moment. I think if there was a major problem, it would be Watkins in his current form. The decision to put Mings in there instead of Power, I sort of get today, but I thought, to be fair, that Digne had been usurped properly by Martin, but obviously Digne's come in today, and in truth, against Ryan, I thought Martin would have probably had a better chance against him than what Digne did, just in terms of what Ryan was offering for Bournemouth. So from that side of things, it's frustrating, but as you have to remember, we've got a lot of games coming up, and I think that we are in a position still with so much more to play for. And I know somebody said bare bones 2/3 of the season done. By that I mean injuries. That midfield has been savaged by injuries, and just fitness wise, we're just not where we should be, I would say, at the moment.
And there's players that are playing that aren't up to their level either. You put all that together and you can see why Villa aren't firing on all fronts. The players that are still here, and I said this last week after Brentford, Bailey, Barkley, Bogard, whoever's coming on to change games, whoever is starting games, if they've been given an opportunity. For example, if Abraham starts on Wednesday and puts in a stinker, that's on him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the players have got to raise their game to help the club and help the team out, right? So I've said this before, and some people will think this is, and we've hit our 20 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up in a second. I'm going to say this and delete the chat and go run away. I've never been that bothered about looking upwards, right? Obviously, if you keep winning games, you don't really need to worry about what's behind you because you'll be okay, obviously. We got 47 points, Man United 44. We had a nice gap to fourth. We don't anymore, and that's annoying. I hate that it's Man United as well, by the way. Like, I'd love it if they were still crap, but they've turned a bit of a corner. Fine. If they get in the Champions League, and so do we, whatever. If they get in at the expense of us, terrible. Anyway, third, I'd love to finish third. I'd love to finish second, obviously. But fifth place is Champions League. I would snap your hand off a fifth place right now. So the gap to Liverpool, as it stands, is still 8 points. Liverpool play Man City tomorrow. We're level on points with City. But if you said only one team can win tomorrow, Man City all day long. Like, I'm not looking ahead to like, oh yeah, let's stay level on points with City. That brings Liverpool closer to us. It makes the whole thing more congested. If worst case tomorrow, we're still 8 points away from sixth. I think that's a decent weekend. We've drawn, Liverpool have lost. I think that's sound. Have we lost a bit of a gap on fourth? Yeah, but I don't really care about that. And I know that's probably the wrong attitude and whatever. I want us to keep winning games, obviously. But if we finish fourth or fifth instead of third after being third all season, all right, that I expect some drop off because of what we've spoken about. To sustain third would be an unbelievable achievement. Like, that's going to be hard. That would have been hard with a full squad, by the way, I think. So yeah, we might finish fourth, and Man United finish third, but they finished above us. Oh, that's terrible. I don't really care, to be honest. I just want to finish in the top five and play Champions League football. So if tomorrow a Man City win or a draw, fine. Liverpool win, and that gap goes down from 8 points to 5. That is basically nothing, right? If we were to lose one of these winnable games coming up and Liverpool win again, the gap's completely gone, and it's like that is bad. So when people are saying like, "Oh, you still confident Villa will finish in the Champions League," I would then have to say no. Like, we've really fallen off, and it is squeaky bum time there, as Rusty Bear says. As of right now, if we go into Monday and it's still an 8 point gap to us finishing sixth, that's still quite a gap to overcome. Now, some people might say, well, we had pretty much an 8 point gap on fourth at one point or whatever, and that started to come down a bit. So, of course, it can change. But I think we will beat Brighton, could beat Leeds, should beat Wolves. And then if you don't lose to either Manchester United or Chelsea, that's another week gone where they can't catch us. And you're then down to the final 7 or 8 games. So I think get through this little period, then I'll be a little bit more like, yeah, we'll definitely be fine. Like, I still think we'll finish in the Champions League, but I can't just come and sit here and blindly go, yeah, everything's rosy, like, because it isn't. But I've said before, like, I've still got faith and belief in the team to go and win the necessary amount of games needed to finish in the top 5. If that means scraping into 5th place on the final day, fine, grind it out, get the job done. Man City win tomorrow, an 8 point gap to Liverpool. I think that's a decent enough weekend, provided you beat Brighton on the midweek game. If you were to lose midweek, maybe I'll start to agree the wheels are falling off a little bit. But for now, I'm still standing relatively strong. What's your kind of opinion on the Champions League, by the way? Because I often give like, that's what I think. And people, every loss, it's like, or every drop points, oh, you've cursed us. Dan, you said this, you said that. It's your fault. I'm just saying it how I think, right? Do you think we'll be in the Champions League next year?
Yeah. Yes.
Through the league? Or because we win the Europa League?
Yeah. The Europa League's a pipe dream for me at this moment in time, to be honest. I'd rather see us guarantee our place through our own right of finishing in the top 4 or 5. Is my view on that point. And I think I'll leave it at this, that I think it's an overreaction at this point. I remember one of the times I came on earlier this season, we drew away at Sunderland, and all then we were all up in arms about where we were at that point. We went on to win the next 10 games, and that's put us in the position we are today. There's so much more football to be played. As you rightly point out, Yuri's out at the moment, should return soon. John McGinn's out, should return soon. I saw somebody saying, well, how did we manage to win 10 in a row? It's because we actually had a full midfield options. At the moment, we're tinkering things around. Douglas Luiz is a couple of games back into beating the Villa shirt, and this team's a much changed team in terms of style and where we are in terms of a football club now versus when he left us. So there's so much more to come, I think. And I think that come March, I think we'll be in a better place, absolutely. And I think that we'll be all sat here talking about hopefully a similar points gap to what's currently there with Liverpool. And if we can maintain that at arm's length, if we've got that arm's length position after we've played both Man United and Chelsea in early March, then I think fine. But what happens then? We'll get enough points in the bag to secure football. I think Liverpool are far too inconsistent.
It's interesting when you hear from when you hear from fans of that club. Like social media is not the greatest barometer, but this is social media, right? There aren't many Liverpool fans that think they're going to finish top 5 because they recognise that Arsenal, Man City, Villa, Man United at the moment, and Chelsea are all better than them, and they've kind of no hope of Champions League at all. So we're in the best position of those other teams because we're already in third, and we're all going, no, we won't do it either. Everyone all probably thinks their team's going to fall apart at some point because that's just the nature of it. I know the injuries are hurting us, and somebody said before that my confidence is based on us having a fully fit squad. I'm like, yeah, to a degree, but I still think the rest of the squad coached by Unai Emery can get the points required. And if it does go down to we have to win, I don't know, 2 of the last 4 or whatever to real confirm it, well, hopefully our players are back by then. And if that's what we've got to go and do, the opportunity is on us to go and do it then. I'm not saying we will do it, but as long as there's still something to play for, then it's on us to go and show why we're a good team and not. If they buckle under the pressure and bottle it, we'll call them out for that. Somebody said to me before, like, oh, you're going to have egg on your face if we don't qualify for the Champions League. It's like, I won't. Players will, right? It's none of my business. Like, I don't kick the ball around. I said my opinion. That's that. Like, there's still loads of games to play. There's nothing to suggest. I mean, Man United, for example, got maximum points in the last 4 against difficult teams. Nobody saw that coming. I'm not suggesting now that we're injury ravaged and we're going to go and win the next 4 in a row just like that, because that'd be silly to. But anything is possible, right? And things do change. So when you have an unknown, I've said this before, I could sit here worried now of, we're going to finish 7th and we're going to lose this, and this. I don't know that. I equally don't know that we're going to win 6 out of 13 and be absolutely fine and finish 5th. I don't know either because I can't predict the future, sadly. But I would rather, for my own kind of mental state and the fact that this is part of my job, hope and pray that it's the second one, right? Stay positive. Keep believing in the side. I might as well not turn up to Bournemouth on Wednesday night if I think we're going to lose. Because we have to be like, I have to just think everything's going to be fine. Well, I won't go all the way to Bournemouth, to Villa Park to play Bournemouth. So sorry, I'm reading the comments, getting mixed up. Villataro Die says, now your opinion was 100% with 15 league games remaining. That's ridiculous. No, it isn't. Do you think Villa are going to finish in the Champions League? Yes or no? Yes is my answer. So yes equals 100%. Like, I think we'll get enough points to do it. Therefore, my opinion is yes. And yes is 100%. Like, I could say 80%. But what does that really mean? It's either yes or no. I think it's yes. I still think it's yes. And until it is impossible for it to be yes, then I'll change my mind and it'll be no. But if we win the next 3, that live chat won't be full of people going, I think we're going to finish 7th. So if people keep telling me, one game at a time then. Let's see how we get on against Brighton. And if we win, everyone will be happy and we can all calm down a little bit. However, I've said this before, and we've gone 8 minutes over. That second half wasn't good enough. Brentford wasn't good enough. Everton at home wasn't good enough. If we play like that for the next 13, we won't. I will change my answer to 0% because my answer will be no. But if we do what I think we will, and we grind out results here and there, I think we'll be okay. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right. Don't go and put your mortgage on us qualifying for the Champions League just because I said so. It's just my opinion. You either think we do or we don't. We both think we're going to do it. Last time I spoke to John, he thought we'd do it. Kendrick thought we'd do it. But for some reason, people just come for me as, oh, yeah, but you said this. So is everyone else I've spoken to. You know, it's just the way it is. No one's come onto this podcast yet as a guest and said, no, I don't think we're going to do it. And until that happens, then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, right. Thanks everyone for joining us live on this episode. Or if you want to catch up on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you consume the podcast, thank you for tuning in. We do read all of your comments. We try and reply to some, but we do read all of them in the on the YouTube feed and Spotify. So you share your opinions as well, unless it's just slagging me off, in which case, do what you want. I will read it. I just might not reply. We'll see you on Monday for a Q&A. Tuesday, I believe, will be a Claret and Brew episode with myself, John Townley and Kendrick, and then the post-match show on Wednesday night as well. So a busy week, big week coming up, must-win games. Hopefully Villa do it, and we can all stop slagging me off. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching or listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.